We're back with Marc Silber as he discusses the moment that he truly learned how to create an image, and then reviews a couple of images from the community.
This is the story of my early days as a photographer. What is that? That's a negative. You can see it was shot as a 35 millimeter. It's a negative of one of my prints, one of my photographs from the seventh grade. That's when I was really learning photography. And this photograph has made it into a couple of my books, and it's been published elsewhere. It's kind of interesting. From the seventh grade. Technically, when you start selling your work, that's when you become a professional. So I guess I've been a professional since I was in the seventh grade. Now, here's the story. If you've read my book, Create, you will recognize this story. I'm not going to tell all the details of it right now, but it's the story of this print. I took this in the eighth grade, and I talk about it in Create here. You know, there's a whole interesting story that led up to it, but the short version is I went to this school that we used to take class trips every year, twice a year actually, and in the springtime we decided to load up into a couple of cars and drive down the coast past where I currently live to a little town called Morro Bay, and it has a sand dune here. Well, I had the backstory here is I'd actually been in a water fight, meaning we were spraying each other with water, and I was wearing a jacket and it got soaking wet. Well, okay, smart as I was in my preteen mind, I thought it would be really interesting to climb up this pine tree with my buddy. He climbed up one, I climbed up another one. And for some reason, the top of the pine tree was sawed off. I didn't know why until I got up to the top and I saw power lines. Now that should have signaled, get out of here, Mark, but it didn't. I went about my business, and on my way down, I brushed against the power line, zap, and I got an enormous jolt of electricity, fell out of the tree, bounced down the limbs. One advantage to being kind of basically knocked out was I was just like a limp bag of potatoes, bounced down, hit the ground, said to my buddy, I'm dead, I died. And he goes down his tree, and he says, Mark, you're not dead, don't worry. Anyway, I didn't die, fortunately, as you can see. But later after this, I was a bit stunned, and we all loaded up into these cars and drove off to find the sand dunes near the beach and near dusk. So I wasn't joining my friends because I was in this kind of partially dazed condition, but I did bring my camera with me. And here's some other shots that you can see from that time period. So I was shooting them from the side, as you can see. These weren't particularly interesting. They just didn't go anywhere. And a couple here, from the back. All of a sudden, I got this idea that I should direct them. And I said, hey, you guys, I want you to run towards me. I'm going to drop down lower in the sand dune. And when I tell you to jump, I want you guys to all jump at the same time. And that was my, direction to them. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not shooting a documentary. I was shooting just having fun. I had no idea where this photograph was going to go. So they ran towards me. They were backlit because the sun was going down behind them. I said jump, pressed the shutter at, frankly, the absolute perfect moment, because look at this perfect arc. Let me get the photograph back up there again. This is a perfect arc. I mean, if I had waited another second to press the shutter, here she is. Here's this guy. There's a piece of wood behind him. That's why he's kind of that sort of thing. Everybody's in this perfect arc because I just pressed the shutter at the right moment. And that's the story of my first real look at how to be not just a passive photographer, but an active photographer, somebody who makes photographs. Ansel Adams said, famously, you don't take photographs, you make them. And in this case, it was perfectly legitimate for me to make this photograph. Again, I wasn't putting this in as a documentary of these kids. It was my creation, and it was my creation with my friends. And to this day, this is my most sold photograph. It's been published in magazines, it's been on the cover of things, it's been in books. And I captured that when I was in the 8th grade. So there you go. That's my story for today, and I'm sticking with it. Well, Jared, let's get busy
All
and look at
right.
what you guys have submitted to us in the AYP Club, okay? So who's first? I'm going to switch screens. There we are. Tell us the
All
story,
right.
who this
Our
is.
first one is Medzuris. Apologies in advance for all names if I get it wrong. I'm trying my best. Despite 75 years, the city still carries marks of the battle that unfolded here by the end of World War II. Filled with old bullet holes, the house acts as a reminder.
Interesting. Where is this taken? Does it say?
I'm not sure. It's over in Europe,
Okay,
but I don't
so
remember where specifically.
listen, guys. When I do these critiques, please bear in mind I'm going to just say it like it is. You don't have to follow anything I say. I'm going to try to just be really direct with you. So here's the thing I really love about it. I love the window, the light coming through the window. There's another little bit above it, but the one on the left, that's awesome. What I'm hungry for here is something else going on. If there were a person looking out that window, for instance, that would be awesome. That would be a punctuation point. It would draw my eye. What I find it's lacking is some center of focus. Like what I get that it's interesting to have the bullet holes, but that doesn't. I don't know that there's a story there. It just looks to me like it's a building that didn't get patched up. But if there was some way of bringing a story into this, that would really make this pop. And a person, perhaps somebody walking by, right below this window here, that would frame really nicely because, obviously we can't have them up here. And if nobody's going to look through the window, okay, they're not going to look through the window. But somebody walking by here or something that would draw my eye. And I feel like it'd also be better to just, if we're going to feature this building, let's just feature this building. So move over here. Let's get rid of this building. Let's also get rid of the cars. And the way you could do that is just stand up on something if you could. Or oftentimes what we do with cameras is just raise them up really high and you can flip your screen around, right? And just get up above those cars because they're not part of the story. So let's just get rid of them. You can't really crop around them because you're just going to crop off the bottom of the building. But those are my suggestions. Tighten up on the center of interest, which is the building. Find ideally a person or something that would make it more, this is where my eye is going to go. Okay, but thank you for submitting it, and just try that out and submit another example if you could. All right, who's next?
All right, our next one is Fernando, and this one has the caption "breeze."
Breathe. I love this one.
No, breeze.
Breathe.
So like there's a breeze in the
Oh,
air.
breeze. I got it. Okay, there's a breeze there. So this is a Madonna photograph. This is pretty cool, and I like the fact that she's sort of walking. It looks like you can see, the kind of the angle of her leg and the back leg, and you've done an amazing job at creating a background that's almost like a painting, but with the light clearly on her face, framed. You framed it so that it's not she's not bumping into the tree. The tree's kind of receding behind her, and the light just very faint, soft light coming in through those trees, hitting her face. Good job. And I love the black and white. That works really well. Okay.
All right, our next one is from Bob. Bob Shrunkoff. I believe that's how you say it.
Yeah, Bob.
Who I believe that you spoke with recently.
Yeah.
So this is waiting in Cusco, Fuji XT3 XF 23 millimeter, and was at f-stop 9.0 ISO 2000.
I actually left you, my feedback on the AYP Club, and I like this image because I love the color of the door, and I love that he's framed in the door. He's looking up at something which is interesting. Like what's he looking at? The receding lines. It just helps with the story. If you cropped it off, I don't think it would. It would just lose its balance. So I like that. We're not distracted by it. It's like the main interest, the center of interest is obviously this guy with the orange door, and it holds up. And your leading lines going off, that's like a frame within a frame. You could divide this image in half, and that's always interesting. This is a bit of an image here, but this is clearly the main focus is right here. So you have two frames, which is I'm a big fan of that. I think it works really well. Hey, Bob. So good job, Bob. Love the colors. Color is a composition tool, by the way, just by itself. So you're using that as a compositional element.
We hope that you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give it a like and leave a comment. We love to hear from you. If you want to see more videos like this, be sure to subscribe and ring that notification bell so that you can know when all of our future videos come out. And finally, be sure to get out there and capture your own images of life.